Welcome in. Welcome in. Here I am. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Um, it's No Music Friday, and I'm still on the struggle bus. Keep the streak going as long as we can. But we're here on No Music Fridays. I am going to just chat or read if it's quiet. Any true crime people out there? Does anybody watch those documentaries on Netflix that are so popular now? Like called Maternal Instincts and Crash. Anybody watch those? They are like, hey Tom and y'all, how are you? Haven't seen you a bit. How you been? Good to see you. What's been up? This is Jane Jill music I have over here. I like her. She's probably singing a song I really like, Evergreen by Barbara Streisand. A difficult song. She can do it. Or oh, really little. Cheers to you. Hope you've been doing well. I have been, kind of on the struggle bus, but enough about me. um, yeah, it was a day I had to take. Well, my sister's here, which is a huge help, and we took mom to two doctor's appointments this week, and it's a big job, and it really tires her out. So that is done. Go back in a few weeks, but yeah, I turn on these shows like in the background when I'm doing something else, when I don't feel like listening to music. Sometimes I need non-music. Um, so I'll listen to podcasts or whatever, or a documentary. I don't really have the bandwidth to watch something new like a series. I don't have it in me. Or I choose not to have it in me. It's just too much. I can't commit, especially the hour long ones. So I watch these documentaries, and I'm kind of a true crime person. I like that stuff. Um, Interesting to me. So tonight, which phone is that? I have a couple of phones. Um, the one with the camera. Tonight I watched this shipwrecked one when I was having dinner, um, about a cruise ship that sunk back in 2012. I never heard of it before, but like turned to the side like Titanic. It was, and people died. I never heard of it. I never heard of that before. It was, as in most things like that, it was avoidable. The captain ended up doing time for it, but and I think some other crew members were found guilty, but got probation or something, didn't do time. But that was a trip. But what's in my mind has still been in a chokehold over the other two, which are more direct crimes for sure. So Crash is the one about the car accident, and Maternal Instincts, which is one of the most brutal things. It's almost, in some ways, it's worse. I don't know. You really can't compare these things, but to the Chris Watts one. Um, but so it's about this woman who, well, it starts with this woman on the side of the road who said she just had a baby on the side of the road, and she gets pulled over. I think she got pulled over anyway for um, for crazy driving, and then she called 911 while they were pulling her over, and she said she just had a baby on the side of the road, and she they don't really show the baby. The baby, and she's like doing like this, like she's given CPR or something. The baby wasn't breathing, and she just said she had a baby on the side of the road, and they took the baby to the hospital, and then they take her, and yeah, she's still wearing pants. You're saying the baby's 35 minutes old. Um, anatomy that you can't have your pants on when you have a baby. So um, it's just crazy because she turned out to be she she was a she was a pathological liar and scammer, and had fooled some people, but a lot of people knew, but nobody thought she'd do what she did. So she meets this guy, and these are people in, I think it's in Texas, but a real rural part. These are small town folks. I think the whole town has like 4,500 people in it or something. And so she meets a guy, and immediately, you know, I think she moves in with them within weeks. She concocts this story. Well, she says this story. They didn't know it wasn't true at the time, about how she wasn't getting along with her mother, and there was also this huge inheritance that she was going to get, like $8 million. And but her mother was fighting over it, so she didn't get along with her mother. She didn't feel safe, so she moved in with this guy after only dating for weeks. And then she moved right in and was playing the housewife, and was, he came home to a hot meal every day. She took care of the house, all those things. Um, and then she looked into buying him property. Um, she wanted to buy some farm, basically, a lot of land for like a couple $1 million or something. And because she was coming into this money, she technically could afford it, or would be able to afford it, and signed all the papers, and they announced it to the family and all this stuff. Meanwhile, they've only known each other for a few months at this time. Um, she bought the boyfriend's mother a car. The woman had been looking for a car for a while. She buys a car, just shows up and says, "You like my new car?" And then mom says, "Yeah." And she's like, "It's yours. It's your car now." Okay. Um, moving kind of fast. And then, you know, weird stuff started happening. They started getting, um, well, the deal wasn't going through with the thing. The car, the land, the car got repossessed after like 3 weeks. And that's not a repossession. It takes a while for a car to be actually repossessed. Like if you don't make your payments, that's a process. I mean, payments are only monthly. She didn't even have the car a month, and they took it back, which means it was never paid for. And then the woman called the car people. She's like, "Why are you taking my car?" And they're like, "No." She said that car, and they said that car wasn't paid for. I don't know how. They left a lot out. It's a one-off one, which I prefer actually, but they they don't say how she was able to get these things. She was a master manipulator, so she could lie and smile her way through it, and she must have told them she had this money coming and maybe took it as a loaner or took it to test drive it, and they let her do that. Um, but then she didn't bring it back. But she never paid for it, but gave it to her boyfriend's mother. Mind you, they're not married. They've only been dating for a few weeks. Um, and then she doesn't want anything to do with her family because they're fighting over this inheritance, although she gets along with her grandmother, who's actually going to be the one to give her the money. So there's this whole big story about all this stuff. She is, I think she's 27, 26, 27 at this time. And she's been married before and she has 2 children. She doesn't have custody of either child. And they don't say, um, they kind of mention that they see the daughter, but they don't see the son very much. But either way, they weren't living with them. So it's more of a visitation. And there's never any story behind that. Um, and yeah, and then things weren't so great in paradise. I mean, it happened so fast. This dude does not seem like the smartest, the sharpest knife in the drawer. But then he got this woman who's pretty and was cooking for him. I don't know. Um, but all this stuff back and forth, and I started getting nasty emails and texts, and she said it was from her mother trying to break them up. Um, his mother, the boyfriend's mother, got them too, and they're friends. And it's just a whole big drama thing. And I guess he was starting to get fed up. And then all of a sudden, she's pregnant. So she's pregnant. And what's he gonna do? She's pregnant, and they're together. And so all of a sudden, you know, happiness and getting ready for this baby. And first, she's had a feeling that she was pregnant because her aura changed or something. And then she went to the doctor. She told people she went to the doctor, and she came back with a test saying, "Yes, you're pregnant," and a piece of paper saying that. And she gave it to somebody, I think her boyfriend's mother, so the almost mother-in-law. And but somebody looked at it, and as the boyfriend also had a very good friend, um, and his wife, so they were very close as well. And they all loved her at first because she was just a sweetheart. She was a good country girl. These are country people. She could get down in the mud, ride the tractors. The guy sold hogs. She was down with all that stuff, and so she just fit right in. So they liked her at first, but then there's this weird stuff, and all of a sudden she's pregnant. And this guy, I guess he's around the same age. He's never been married, no kids. So this is all a first for him. She's already had 2 kids and 1 or 2 husbands. Um, so she just goes along with this pregnancy. So she sends a paper to somebody that confirms her pregnancy, and this is in 2000 and I don't know, 19. No, it was more recent, 2022 or something. I don't know. But the paper said 2016 or 2019. It had the wrong year on it, and the person she sent it to noticed it. She goes, "Are you sure this is right? This is not the right year." And she goes, "Let me call the doctor's office." And she calls back. Oh, the doctor's office said they've had all these mistakes, but the but the paper is real, and she's pregnant. I think that might have been the gender too. She wants to have this big gender reveal, which she has, and her father comes, and her kids are there, and it's filmed, and she's a big social media person, always posting what she's doing. They interviewed her friends from before, and they were saying how they were besties for a while, but then she got weird. Like when one of the women got, one of the women was pregnant, one of her good friends was pregnant, and she wanted to be so involved with the pregnancy. She wanted to have access to the woman's pregnancy tracker app. She wanted to do all those things. And she wanted to come to appointments. She wanted to know everything. It was too much. So that woman was like, she's like, I had to step back from her then. It was too much. And then she said but before that, they were always worried about her because she was sick all the time. She stayed sick. She was always in the hospital. She had a stroke at some point. She had cancer at some point. She had I forget what else they said. She's just always, you know, something's always wrong. Um, but she did have after the second baby, she had had her tubes tied. Um, and then she had, a few years after that, she had some issues where she had a cyst or something on an ovary or something. And then there was ectopic pregnancy. So she ended up having to have a hysterectomy. So first the tubes died, but that can be undone sometimes. But she had hysterectomy, so all the baby parts are out. So she's telling people she's pregnant. She's taking pictures of herself all the time. She's showing sometimes. Got a baby bump, but and she was posting on Facebook. Now her old friends who she doesn't talk to anymore were seeing this, and they're like, "How's she pregnant? We know she had a hysterectomy." People knew because it was a big deal, you know, major surgery. Um, she, but they didn't say anything. The doctor saw. This is a small town. The doctor saw she was posting about being pregnant on Facebook. They couldn't say anything because of HIPAA, the confidentiality. So many people knew, and the doctors say they couldn't. The friends, a couple of them did reach out, but the boyfriend Wade, again, not the sharpest knife in the drawer. He didn't believe it, and she's always saying, "No, people are saying stuff about me. My mother's turning people against me, all that kind of stuff." And and so she continues this pregnancy, has a gender reveal. It's a girl, and then goes along with this pregnancy. 10 months, 10 months. So it's supposed to be 9 months. You can go over. I forget the way you count the weeks, but you're not. I guess when you're 9 months pregnant, you're really 9.5 months pregnant anyway. If you make it to your due date, you can go 2 weeks over. Doctors don't let you go more than 2 weeks over. Um, but anyway, she's well past her due date. Nobody's saying anything. And she's like, "Oh, maybe they got the date wrong," you know. And this guy didn't know anything. Again, he has no children. Because he's not been around it. I don't know. And they're together. They're living together in a little house. Well, I think it's a double wide. Hey, Dark Star Slayer and E.O. Rexpiores. Welcome in. We are talking about the Netflix documentary called Maternal Instincts. Have you seen it? It's it's crazy. I saw it, I don't know, last week or something. It's still in my head, and I watched it again. Yeah, it's something about a crazy mom. So I'll catch up real fast. So this woman meets this guy. They move in together. She says she's going to inherit $8 million. She says she's going to buy him property and like signs contracts, but kind of like that Anna Delvey one, except like a country girl. These are country people, and then she, bought the mother-in-law a car. The car was repossessed after 3 weeks, which is not a repossession. I was just taking it back, and you know weird since she's saying she doesn't get along with her mother. There's fighting. The grandmother's the one that's going to give her the money though, and all this stuff. She has all these stories, and then she moves in almost immediately and plays housewife, and he has a hot meal every day when he gets home from work. The whole nine, and then she turns up pregnant. We find out later she's already had two kids, mind you. She's 27. She had kids very young. Like her first kid was like she was like 17 or something. And then she had another one. And after that, she had her tubes tied. And after that, she had a hysterectomy because of complications with an ectopic pregnancy and a burst ovary or something. But there was a reason she had to have a full hysterectomy. So she ain't having no babies, right? Are there country people? Yes, there are. These people are in a very small town in Texas. The whole town, I think, is 4,500 people, and they're farmers. And the guy, the guy, thanks, Stark Star. I hope you're doing okay. The um, the guy is like a hog farmer. Well, he wrestles wild hogs and sells them. Um, so they're hard work and living off the land and all that stuff. But it's a small community, right? But there's not that much. But there's Facebook. So yeah, he goes out and he gets hogs, catches wild hogs and sells them. That was part of his thing. I know. You know of a mom that had to have a surgery like that? What, had to have a hysterectomy? Yeah, I mean there's hysterectomy is a major thing. You don't do that unless there's a medical reason. Um that so she had and it's sad when it happens to a younger woman, especially because well, she didn't want to have any more children, but sometimes it messes with your hormones, puts you through early menopause or something. It's not something that you really would want to have. You don't use a hysterectomy as birth control. Is just what I'm saying. She had her tubes tied, right? She had her tubes tied. She already decided she didn't want any more children. And she decided young because she'd had to, but she didn't even have custody of. So she wasn't even taking care of her children that she already had. She didn't want any more. So, okay, you're caught up. You're ready for the juicy part? Okay. So she says she's pregnant. They have a gender reveal. It's a girl. This is during COVID. You could get a lot away with a lot of things during COVID. So I guess it was around the 2022, around 2020. It was just a few years ago. Anyway, so um, the whole time she was pregnant, no sex. The whole time, and they're living together in a double wide. They're living together in um, small-ish quarters. Well, double wide's bigger than a regular trailer, but it's not like they're living in separate wings of a house. Let's put it that way. They're living together in close quarters. They're a new couple, and nothing is happening. And they, yeah, my best friend is a guy, 9.5 years older than me. We're working to visit him. Oh, okay. So, yeah, so she says, but she's telling this whole new family that she's just put herself into. She moved in with him. And he didn't ask her. Like, she just kind of moved herself in. Um, and I actually probably put it up on the screen. Um, she moved herself in there and she started her whole thing. And then she saying she's pregnant, saying it's a girl, had a gender reveal. At the gender reveal, her father was there. She says she doesn't get along with her mother at all. So her mother was not invited. Her father was there, and her two children happened to be there. All this. Okay, so 9 months of pregnancy, and then some of the doctors who knew she'd had a hysterectomy because she was posting all this stuff on Facebook. She's posting it on Facebook. Her old friends that she doesn't talk to anymore, or they don't talk to her anymore, they could still see it. So they knew this woman is saying she's pregnant. And they're like, she can't possibly be pregnant. And it's not like a surrogate situation because she's showing pictures of herself with a baby bump. So they're like, she's lying. She can't be pregnant. One of the ex-husbands reached out to the boyfriend. He didn't believe it. The boyfriend had a best friend. He's the best part of the documentary because he's just so honest. Because the guy told him that they had been doing anything for 4 or 5 months. He's like, dude, what? The funniest thing. And he's like, and his wife had gone down, you do your internet stalking. She'd gone down the rabbit hole to find out all the information about this girl. They couldn't ever get anything in writing, but to get all this, that this girl had a hysterectomy. So how was she saying she's pregnant? She must be lying. And there was never any money. Nobody saw the money. So she's just lying about everything. And then they try to tell this guy, his name is Wade, again, not the sharpest knife in the drawer. Some people say it's cornbread's not cooked in the middle. Um, and, but he was getting the benefit of having this pretty girl who was cooking for him every day and getting along with all of his friends and doing all the things. He's on the tractor with them, all doing all that stuff, a good country girl. And something that isn't usual. I found it how people were forced to live like us. I remember a lot of urban and rural myths. I can't say you're not talking about something that didn't happen. I'm talking about a documentary that's on Netflix. So it is a true story. So um, so she's gone on getting pregnant. And now this man's. Now maybe she said she didn't ever want him to see her naked because she was self-conscious about her stretch marks and everything. Okay, but that whole time that they're together, he doesn't reach around and touch her belly. He doesn't want to see her belly the whole time. He doesn't go to any appointments. Now, I will say about the appointments, um, that is it's not actually a newish thing, but it wasn't always that way where the husband or boyfriend was always at all the appointments. And, maybe that's new to him. She could have just said, "Oh, you don't need to go," and maybe he didn't know he was, and that whole thing about not seeing her belly, he didn't know that. She could probably say, "Oh no, I don't know," or I don't want you to see me. I don't want, and maybe saying she has no interest because she's pregnant and anything physical. I don't know. And he didn't know from nothing, so he just went along with it. I don't know. Again, he wasn't quite right. But so she snowed him into it. I mean, I guess you could do that. I remember my sister saying, I think it's true that you're not supposed to mess with cat litter when you're pregnant. There's something about that. And Sharon's like, my sister, she's like, oh, yeah, I can't do that. And then she kind of like never did it again. So I should say that the doctor said I can't do dishes. There's a documentary on Netflix I haven't seen, but it's about a real story about how my dad's high school best friend was mail bombed. Ooh, oh, that's awful. You haven't seen it? Huh. You don't have toxoplasma from cats, and dang, I'm luckier than I thought. Oh, is that what it's called? I just know that they said that pregnant women are not supposed to handle kitty litter. I don't know. I've had offspring, but I never had a cat at that time. So anyway, so yeah, she's going on with this pregnancy on and on and on and on and on and on. There's no, and he didn't even see her by accident. And even if the man's not going to go to all the appointments, you would think, especially for his first baby, he would want to see the belly, want to feel the baby kick. Although she had video of her belly that she posted on Facebook with the belly kicking. Now we come to find out that she had ordered, and this is all from her real internet searches that they found as a result of the trial that came later. She searched and purchased a silicone fake belly. She also bought fake sonograms, ultrasounds of the baby. There's no good reason to buy something like that. I don't know about that company. But even the belly, the only good reason to buy a belly would be like for a theatrical reason, like if you're playing a pregnant person in a play or something. But buying fake ultrasounds, that is for fraud. I don't know what other way you would do it. Yeah, fake ultrasounds. Mom and dad were taking care of cats when your mom was pregnant with you. Well, you turned out okay, right? Yeah, there's apparently this website where you can. It was what was it called? It was called Maybe Baby, and you can buy fake ultrasounds. they showed her, like she would put in her doctor's name or the hospital's name, and they would get a printout of an ultrasound that, with the information. They usually have information on there about the mother and the hospital or the doctor or something. She actually had this. Um, you could fake them. Let's just like create them. You're good with that kind of thing. It's just that there's no good reason to do that. You know what I mean? In the meantime, she had started up she had a regular job for a while. Um, and she got friendly with her boss there. Um, and her boss was going through something because her boss had a child who died in her arms. Like the child was born with severely brain damaged or something, and did not live very long and died in her arms. And this woman had the nerve to say to that woman, "Oh, I completely understand. The same thing happened to me. No one understands what it's like to hold your child when they die." Completely made up to bond with this woman. Like, that's pathological. You don't make something up like that. Anyway, but then she got fired from that job because she wasn't doing it very well. So then she she made a side business doing photography, um, and doing like wedding photography and that kind of stuff. And she was my dad had a 1970s ultrasound machine that you wanted. Really? 70s ultrasound machine. Did it work? I hugged my mom tonight a few times. I love her so much. She got fired when I was in preschool. Aw, glad you love your mama. Fake bellies. I mean, the only reason, other than theatrical reasons, the only reason why you would do that is for fraud. You're at least you're tricking someone. Um, Either you're tricking your partner or you're tricking, like, at work or something. You're doing something that's fraud, basically, and especially an ultrasound, because that's really faking medical documentation, and that's not cool. And this company is like on. I don't know. I haven't Googled it to see if it exists still. It did exist. So she had all that stuff, and she kept saying she had appointments, and that the guy couldn't go. And then every once in a while, when he would go, they'd say he'd go with her, and they'd go in, and they'd say, "Oh, the doctor had to cancel," so he never went in there. And then one time he couldn't go because of COVID or something. So he never went to a doctor's appointment. Nobody went with her to a doctor's appointment. So not a friend or his mother. She didn't get along with her mother, but she got along with his friend's wife. But nobody went with her. Um, and she just kept being pregnant for a long time. She was over her due date. Anyway, but before that, before she was so pregnant, she started a side business her only job as a wedding photographer. And she did the wedding of another couple in the area, um, and took the pictures. And the pictures are beautiful. The bride. It's funny. These people were really country. They're down to earth. She had on a full wedding gown, a beautiful wedding gown, and she had bridesmaids, and they had these really nice sunflower bouquets. The groom had on jeans and a shirt it didn't even have long sleeves. I don't think it was a t-shirt, but I don't even think it was tucked in. I don't know. So the difference was quite there. Like, she had on a wedding gown with bridesmaids with long dresses. He had on jeans. And I think his groomsmen were the same. They were country. So, but the wedding pictures are beautiful. And they said that she was so involved with the people that they were. She was basically like a bridesmaid because she was so close to everybody and she wanted to be involved with everything. And the bride's mother had said, "Where'd you find this girl?" And she said she found her through I don't know, referral or something, but that her price was right and they were trying to save some money. And so, they were happy with her. She took all these beautiful pictures of the bride, blah, blah, blah. And then that woman was having a baby. She already had one that she'd had as a teenager, and then she'd met this man, this other man. Oh, Jane Jell's daughter is there. Met this other man and got married, and then that was the wedding, and then she got pregnant. She was going to have her second child, her first child with the husband. So you're listening and trying to follow. Okay, good. I know, and I've missed some of your chat. Oh, you ended up dumping the ultrasound. So she befriended this other woman who just got married, and she was pregnant, and they befriended. So then she's pregnant, so they're both pregnant together. So they're like, talking. And well, this woman Taylor has had a hysterectomy, she can't possibly be pregnant. And at this point, the people from her old life were telling people, but nobody. Somebody told Wade, the boyfriend, but he didn't believe it. She always had an excuse for it, but never did anybody once just lift up her shirt. Like, let me see, you know, nothing like that. She would just present them with things, but nobody. And Wade doesn't feel the belly. But Wade doesn't want to see the belly, especially when she's 9 months pregnant. Nothing. Or even the girlfriends, nothing. And then she's hanging out with this other woman. But then Wade does start getting a little suspicious, and then the deal with the land fell through. None of that happened. And then it was just this baby coming, and he was starting to get suspicious, and she was saying, why are you against us? Your family is against us, and you need to trust me, and blah, 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 blah. And then I think one of the last things she said was, I'm going to bring a baby home or something. And then at this point, she's 10 months pregnant. And the guy, and so she's telling him they're going to induce her. Mind you, he's never even seen a doctor with her. And so that morning or something, she wakes him up and says, I think there's a fire. And he gets up and he says, yeah, the bottom of my house was on fire. Okay, so then he had to deal with that. And then he had an appointment to go take some wild hogs and sell them. And on the day she's supposed to be induced. And he's like, I don't think I should do that, because I might need to be with you because of the baby. And she's like, no, you can't give up that money. You go do that, and I'll meet you at the hospital. It's just ridiculous. Well, maybe you can just be dying, losing my breath. My mom even said I can't push. I'll help put out the fires. Yeah, that was some sort of ruse. And then there was something about going to the hospital, and then they said, she's not going to believe, she said to him, you're not going to believe that there's been a bomb threat at the hospital. We can't go to that hospital. And some of the other women that they put on camera is like, yeah, there was a bomb threat because she called it in. She was lying about so many things when she was trying to buy this property. She had the realtors call her attorneys and accountants or something to try to get proof of funds to show that she's going to have this cash to buy this property, because she said she was going to buy it in cash. And they were actually talking to people. We come to find out later she's using those voice changing apps and typing up all these letters. But if they had looked closely, because they showed one of the letters, and you could see that the email address was an AOL email address for a business, for a lawyer. No, but they didn't seem to notice that stuff. Hey, Tronics, how you doing? So I'm talking about that Netflix documentary, Maternal Instincts. It's disturbing, and I can't get it out of my head, so that's why I happen to be talking about it. So, and this woman's 10 months pregnant. Just catch up. She's 10 months pregnant, but she's had a hysterectomy. But she's telling the new guy that she's pregnant, and she's overdue. First, there's a fire, and then there's a bomb threat at the hospital they're supposed to go to, and then he's supposed to go sell a truckload of hogs. and is going to meet her at a different hospital. And she kind of talks him into that because, you don't want to lose that money. That's a lot of money. So he drives 4 hours. And who drives 4 hours on the day that your girlfriend's being induced to have a baby? He drives 4 hours away, gets to the guy. The guy's like, "What are you doing here?" And he's like, "I'm selling you these hogs. We have an appointment." And the guy's like, "I don't want them." And the guy's like, "No, you texted me. You told me to come here." And he showed him the text. He goes, "I didn't write that text. That's not my number." He's like, "Who's going to do that?" And he's like, "I don't know." So didn't you talk to Taylor, the wife, the girlfriend? And he said, "Yeah, I talked to her like a few weeks ago, and I haven't heard from her since." So he was sent on a wild goose chase, a wild hog run, we should say, to take these hogs out. And meanwhile, she's supposed to be going to get induced. Right. I remember these Russians literally bought out a flamethrower and roasted the hog before even moving it. Or even not live, did they? Let's keep saying wild goose chase. It was a hog run. So, but yeah, it was a wild goose chase because he was sent to do this, and then he, then she, and then it picks up to where it started because we had gone back to find out all this stuff about them, and they kept interviewing people like, "She can't have a baby. She's had a hysterectomy. Doesn't anybody know?" And all the hospital people saying, "We can't tell." And one of the new friends, the boyfriend's best friend's wife, she called one of the doctors or the nurse or whatever and said, "I'm concerned because we're hearing that she can't have children. Like we just want to confirm." And that they can't say anything. So the one I know it was the doctor or nurse, but said, "I can't say anything, but go with your gut." That's as far as they got. And everybody's watching this on Facebook for months as she's getting more pregnant, posting all this stuff on Facebook, the gender reveal, and then after that, she's just getting more pregnant. She had pregnancy photos taken. You know how people do. She hired a photographer to take pictures of she and the boyfriend when she's like very pregnant. And she wanted the Western style, so she's getting pictures while she's pregnant, while with horses and stuff. And she tells the photographer, "I want one when I'm laying on the back of the horse with my belly in the air and Wade is standing there, the boyfriend." I'm like, when I was pregnant, I would not have done that. I would have thought that was too dangerous, especially at 9 months pregnant. I, that's an unnecessary risk. But, you know, she can't possibly be pregnant. So that photographer thought, "Oh, they're the nicest people." And they show the pictures and all of that. And remember, this is a girl who was always sick before and taking pictures of herself in the hospital. Some people do that. Um, but she's always smiling in the pictures. So she so he goes to get the hogs, realizing it's a wild goose chase, and then we pick up to her being on the side of the road. And before that, we talk to the movie Baby's Day Out was horrible. I don't know that one. Okay, Dark Star, here comes the part. Here comes the part. So that woman that she had taken the pictures of, taken the wedding photos of, that she then befriended, and they were both pregnant at the same time. They start interviewing her mother because her mother was saying how she hired her and, was asking about her, and she seemed nice and the pictures were nice and all of that. And then they say, like, that one morning, now her daughter is about 36 weeks, it depends on the road, it's about 36 weeks along. Um, and then, so the mother says she gets a call from her husband or somebody saying that she can't get a hold of her. The girl's name is Reagan. Can't get a hold of Reagan, and she hasn't called me back. And then her husband, her stepfather of Reagan, who's the pregnant one, he's like, "Well, I'll try something." And the mother says, "Let me try her at work." They call her at work, and she hadn't shown up, and that was weird. And then they found out she had that other kid who was like 3, and that kid didn't show up at daycare either. So then they're worried. So the mother said, well, the father said, well, I'm going to be out that way. I'll go out there. And the mother said, well, I'll go too. And she goes, she gets there first. And she goes and she sees a little blood outside. She thought the dog maybe cut her foot. She goes in the house and she sees a bloody footprint and closes the door and runs away. Then she doesn't run away, closes the door. But then she realized, no, I have to go in because she could be hurt. And she goes in, and then they play her 911 call, and it is the most heart wrenching thing because she's screaming, saying, she's screaming, saying, "Someone murdered my daughter! Someone murdered my daughter!" And she's just screaming, and it's awful. It's this is the actual 911 call. It's awful. She's screaming that it's ugh. So um, so then her husband comes behind her. He says he walks and sees her. She's on her hands and knees on the ground, screaming. She's inconsolable, and she says, and he's like, you could tell something's wrong. And his friend was there too, and she's like, don't go in there, don't go in there. He said, that guy say, so of course I needed to know. So he said, and she said, I still remember his face when he looked in there. And because she said she was murdered, there's no chance, I mean, that she's still living. And the guy said, he said, when I saw that, he said, I lost it. He's like, I just started hollering and yelling and crying and everything. He lost it too. It was apparently a horrific looking crime scene. And then heard a lot of awful calls. Right. Dark Star. So yeah, I go see that. And then the friend of the mom and dad there, he's there too. And then the mother says, again, she's still hysterical, but she says, she says she has a 3-year-old, is a 3-year-old in the house. And the father said, we're going to have to go look. They kept calling for her, and finally hear a noise. And the father's like, we got to go. She's like in the back of the house. And the father, you'd have to step over Reagan, who's been slaughtered, basically. You have to step over Reagan. And the father's like, he started to do it. He couldn't do it. So the friend did it. He had step over her and go back. And the little girl is back in her room, like, and he said when he first got back there, she like pulled up the covers because she was scared, and then she realized who it was, and he said she just jumped into his arms. He said, I had to catch her, that poor child. And then he got her out of there. But then the mother, by then the EMTs and the police are there, and the mother says, you should know that my daughter's pregnant. I don't know if the baby survived, but you should know that she was pregnant. Like, she just didn't know, wanted them to have that information. And they're looking at her and they're like, we're gonna have to roll her to see if the baby is there and living. And they rolled her and they're like, ain't no baby there. Ain't no baby. So yes, it's horrible. They just said it was so much blood everywhere, and then there was no baby. And Reagan was clearly dead. It wasn't. There was nothing. No chance. Clearly dead. And because the mother's like, there's a baby. She just, I don't know how long it's been. Like, she didn't know when it happened, but they needed to check for the baby. There was no baby. Reagan was there, but blood everywhere. And there's like blood splatter everywhere in different places in the house. And then they don't obviously don't show the actual crime scene. In some movies they show more, but this one they didn't, and I'm kind of glad because of. And then that's going on there, in this other part of town, and again in this small town. And then they switched to Taylor, who's the woman who's been faking this pregnancy all this time. And then she is the one on the side of the road who said she just had a baby in the car and was trying to get to the hospital. And apparently she was driving erratically, so she was getting pulled over anyway. And as she was getting pulled over, she like hit a bird or something. And so as she was getting pulled over, she called 911 herself to say she just had this baby on the side of the road. And they show her like just going like this to something that looks as small as a doll. They blur out the baby though. And the cops, the cops they're trying to figure out what's going on and try to be respectful. Like, you just had a baby? How old is the baby? She goes, the baby's like 35 minutes old. And she's like crying and shaking, and she had blood all over her, but she didn't have blood in the right places. She had blood all over the front of her, which you would have if you deliver a baby and hold it, but she had her pants on. She had her pants on. And she's saying she just had a baby. And she had her pants that were not bloodied except for in the front. So, or dirt or wet or anything. So, childbirth is messy, right? So those people, so they had rushed the baby off in an ambulance, and then they put her in an ambulance and took her. They're like walking her very gingerly, and she's saying she's had a baby. She does have blood all over her. She's shaking. She's looking like she's in shock. So they're treating her as such, and they, get her in but they're looking, like, they're like, okay, we're gonna take care of you. We'll take care of you. And then she was saying something before she got out of the car. Could you do something because the baby's not breathing or whatever? So they take her to the hospital, and then they show the doctors talking to the EMTs or somebody saying she's refusing a vaginal exam, but the HCG and the ultrasound don't show that she's had a baby. The HCG is that hormone that you can tell whether you're pregnant or not, and the ultrasound, they'd done that on her, and they didn't show that she'd had a baby. Right? Can I read Frog and Toad? Let me finish this story. Were you here when I read Frog and Toad before? So she had this baby. I mean, they took the baby, they took her to the hospital. They they take her in and put her in one of the ER rooms, and she's on a cot, and they give her IVs and all this stuff, and they're talking to her, and the police come in. They're like, so you're saying you had this baby? She said, yes. Why is everybody asking me? And they're like, so you're saying you had this baby? Because they're going to be able to tell. She said, yes, I had the baby. And so they're like, okay, just, there's a longer interview that they didn't put in the documentary that I heard. It was somebody posted it on TikTok, but they're just trying to ask these questions and whatever. And then they sent a doctor in. And there's so many TikToks and stuff about this doctor, because the doctor comes in and they're like, we just want to, check her out because she should be hemorrhaging or something. She just had a baby. Because the baby, when she had the baby, it still had the umbilical cord attached and the placenta. Okay, so anyway, the doctor comes in. You know how doctors can sometimes just look annoyed. He comes in, he starts out looking annoyed, but he's respectful to her. He's like, okay, let's get some light on so we can see what's going on. He's there like 10 seconds, and he comes out and said, yeah, she didn't have a baby. And they're like, she didn't have a baby? She said, no, she did not have a baby. He's saying it all loud, like HIPAA goes out the window. He's like, no, she didn't have a baby. He's telling it to the police officers in the hallway and all this stuff, and all the nursing staff and everybody. The doctors are like, oh, this is a big deal. And then they come in and interview her and say all this and try to get her to say what was going on. So, basically she killed this woman and cut her baby out. And the baby died Anyway, they why would she think that she could do a DIY C-section? And they show her internet searches. First, she had internet searches of how to find a baby, how to get a newborn baby from somewhere, because she was going to try. All these people who already knew, all the people that already knew she had a hysterectomy, I think they were just waiting to see what she was going to say. Because the normal thing, if you're faking a pregnancy, would be to fake a miscarriage early on. Like, I'm sure a lot of women do that to catch a man. I'm pregnant, reel him in, maybe get him to marry you, and then oops, I had a miscarriage. But she was too far gone for that. It wouldn't be a miscarriage, it would be a stillbirth, and they'd still have to have a baby's body somehow, right? So everybody's waiting, well, what's she going to do? And I think it was more of like a gossip, like a curiosity thing, like, what is she going to do? We know she's not pregnant. How is she going to get out of this? And they're just kind of waiting to see what she was going to do. Now, her old doctors, the doctors that performed the hysterectomy, that knew that she couldn't possibly be pregnant, and they probably knew that she wasn't quite right in the head. They said HIPAA kept them from warning anyone, but they were concerned enough that they put out a code pink at the hospital, which means to be careful because there's a chance somebody might come to try to steal a baby. So they just put more security on. So they were afraid somebody is going to steal a baby. So they were concerned enough that the issue a code pink for the hospital to put it on lockdown to make sure nobody could come in and get near any babies. But they weren't able to say anything to anybody. But nobody thought she would do what she did. What she did was the most brutal thing she could do. First, she did research on how to find a baby. I guess that didn't work. And then she had researches on how to do a C-section. And she showed up at that woman's house. That woman that she killed, the night before, they had been hanging out. She was over her house the night before. And so she knew when she was going to be home alone, I guess. She showed up with a diaper bag and a scalpel. And I don't know how she thought that the baby was going to survive that. I guess she didn't care about the mother. And how, in this small town, how could she possibly think that this horrible thing is going to happen to this woman when the baby is cut out of her and then all of a sudden she has a baby on the same day? They're not going to put the two and two together. I mean, she was not thinking this through at the cost of this woman and her baby, right? So she, they just say it was that the doctor, her old doctor who had performed her hysterectomy years before, he was actually an expert witness at the trial because to talk about what had transpired with Reagan when she was murdered, and it said that he said he got teary-eyed talking about it because it was the most horrific thing that she went in and cut behind the uterus and took the whole uterus out. And there's all these various stab wounds around and cuts to get it out. She didn't, and all the Lifetime movies, when they do stuff like this, they always sedate the woman before they steal her baby. On the fake shows, she didn't sedate her. The woman was awake as her baby was being cut out of her and fought such that her fingernails were in the placenta. So I don't know who thinks of this stuff. And this is a true story. So right then and there, and they got her to confess. Her first story was none of this happened. Next story was that she and Reagan got into a fight, a physical fight. Two women that are 9 and 10 months pregnant, right? Got into a fight. And Reagan had fallen down and hit her head, and she was dying. And Reagan said, "Take the baby because I'm dying anyway. Take the baby, save the baby." That was one of her stories. And then I think she finally copped to it or something. But anyway, they had a trial. Everybody knew what she did. The family was like, "This isn't a trial. Don't get her guilt or innocence." It was about life in prison or the death penalty, right? And it was the saddest thing. They show Reagan's funeral, and her husband just, he was on his knees in front of the coffin. They had to pull him back. It's the saddest thing. And that woman didn't do anything to anybody but befriend this woman. So anyway, she went on trial. She was found guilty, of course, and she was sentenced to the death penalty. So she's on death row. She is the youngest. She's the seventh woman in Texas on death row, and the youngest woman in Texas on death row. She's only 27. I mean, she's probably a couple years older now, and she's on death row. So I know it's the reason it's so horrific. I can't get it out of my head because it's so cruel. Like HIPAA, the dark side about HIPAA. HIPAA does. I mean, most things, any of those privileged things have an out where someone's in danger. You could say something. Attorney-client has that. Counselor or psychiatrist and patient, they have that. If the patient is getting ready to kill somebody, they're allowed to call somebody if there's a danger. And if there was enough of danger for a code pink, or even the fraud part of it, then, take a chance or say something anonymously or something. But they did, because so many people knew, and they were just waiting to see what was going to happen. There's some people who did try to tell Wade, the boyfriend, but he, there's a big question as to whether he knew or how much he knew, or whether he was just kind of hanging out because he thought that initially he thought there was going to be money. And after that, he just didn't know how to get out of it. His family told him there's something wrong with her. You need to let her go. They asked him, do you love her? And he's like, not really. And they're like, his mother said, well, then get her gone. But he didn't. He didn't. And, so that's that story. So yeah, she was found guilty. She's on death row. But it's a horrific crime that was so stupid. Because how? If a DIY C-section, the mother's gonna die. Like back in olden days, if they had to do a C-section, the mother was gonna die. They could save the baby maybe. But how would she think that she could do this? She was never a doctor or a nurse or anything. That she could do this and the baby would survive. And she clearly was not worried about the mother. And how, when they found the dead mother that was missing a child, she didn't want the mother to live because the mother could testify. But how would they not put two and two together? But she was just willing to pass on that baby as her own, and like a doctor couldn't tell. 77 Shakespeare C-section was a plot point. Yeah. Yeah, but I think what happened was, this is me trying to figure out like the whole side of the road thing, having the baby. I think what happened was she killed this woman, took the baby, and the baby was in distress. Clearly, you can't do that. You can't. Of course, the baby's going to be in distress. Of course, the baby's not going to be breathing. It's not done the correct way, and the mother's in distress, and she's fighting you. How could she think she could do that? So the baby was in distress, and so she's driving around with the baby. I think she must have been planning to go to the hospital and say she just had the baby, or try to pass it off and try to get herself to be more believable that way. But she's driving in the car and realizing the baby's dying. So she was driving erratically. And then she was pulled over for that. And because then she realized she was being pulled over for that, then she calls 911. And then she calls Wade, the boyfriend, and says, I just had the baby on the side of the road. He says, well, let me finish what I'm doing and I'll get down there. And then so once the jig is up, she did not have this baby, they take her into custody because there's no reason to keep her in the hospital. There's nothing wrong with her. They take her into custody. And then Wade gets in from the hogs, and as soon as he walks in, they take him for interviews, and he's surprised. And then, the mother of the girl who died, oh, she's just, that's so sad. And then the rest of the people, they said as soon as they heard it, they knew it had to be her. They were hoping it wasn't, but they knew. Nobody was surprised. They were surprised that she actually did it when they heard that it happened. They all knew it had to be her. So I don't know how she thought she was going to get away with this. She's just delulu. Like, I just don't know how that could happen. She did all this research, so it wasn't like she decided at the last minute to do this. She researched it. I don't know how she thought she was going to get it. She just, with her last words to Wade were, "I'm going to bring a baby home." She got a baby, didn't make it home. So, and the president fell asleep in the arm, used to stick documents lost to use the arm. Yeah, it's just, I can't get it out of my head because it's so horrific. And the fact that so many people knew, you know, I guess you can never put yourself into somebody else's shoes, but I don't know if I knew for a fact, if I had a friend that I knew for a fact had had a hysterectomy, not just her tubes tied, a hysterectomy, and was posting all over Facebook how pregnant she was. You know, the people are saying nobody just thought to pull up her shirt at some point. Nobody saw her belly the whole time, which is also kind of strange because she's the type of person who took pictures of everything when she was in the hospital for all these things that she said she had. She even had hospital pictures of her face drooping like she'd had a stroke. She didn't have a stroke. If she were truly pregnant, she's the type of person that would have had pictures of her bare belly, but there were no pictures like that. Now, this woman, I mean, she's where she belongs, but I mean, I'm wondering if they didn't. I mean, and she had to have a defense, like, but clearly she's crazy and evil and stupid. That's a bad combination. And smart at the same time, because she was smart enough to have all these, schemes going and keep track of them. The one woman said, "I couldn't tell that many lies. I'd have to carry around a binder." She had all these different personalities, different voices, all this stuff. So, she was that kind of smart, but not but stupid that she couldn't think through, like, how is this actually going to work, and stupid to take somebody's life and think that you're going to be able to pass off that. First of all, think the baby's going to live, and then think you're going to pass off the baby as your own. So she's got to clearly be a sociopath. They didn't show much of the trial, but they showed her at the trial, but they didn't. I don't think she testified. They didn't show much of the trial. But I wonder if they tried to say that she was um, insane at the time, or had some sort of psychotic break that she couldn't control, or whatever. I don't know what they could say. But she did it, and she took steps to hide it and took steps to lie about it. Um, so, oh, this is, I said earlier, this is Jane Gell music. I read out to her a lot. So I know that's not a happy topic to discuss, but it's like, I, I just, it's just so, see if I can. Over here. That's, if you can see any of that. This is the trailer for it. But
That's easy. I just begin to worry. Something's just not right. I said, did you go in with her to the clinic? She said the doctor had an emergency or he couldn't meet us. So many things did not add up. I mean, they were buying cars, cattle. Someday she was going to be this millionaire. That's what she told us. All people see is this loving, happy relationship. Why would you not believe it? Things got super weird. I took a step back and was like, you're scaring me. How can one person keep up with that many lies? Money's got to be coming from somewhere, you know? I still can't understand how this was going to work as unimaginable what she did. I don't even know how to explain it. Feel my stomach just moved. I think I know who that is. Of course, I have never seen in my life.
oh,
For a demon like her,
that's
hell would be easy.
that was. It's weird because she looks different in so many of her pictures. Oh, anyway, not a happy subject, but it just I can't get it. Yeah, caught up. Yeah, good and evil, but oh, wait, wait, that's me. I don't want me up there. Hey, oh no, Angel, seriously, welcome in. Wait, oh my goodness, with 56 people. Thank you so much for the raid, Jane Dell. Oh my gosh, one of these days, I hope that you can raid me when I'm actually doing music because I'm not even doing music tonight. But thank you for the raid. And I don't know if you know, but I've had your stream up on my screen up here for most of my chatting stream tonight. I just had your face up there doing your singing. So, but welcome. Welcome. Thanks for coming by. I see Angel Bernie, the Galorian Saber. I know you. Oh, Capstan, Dwayne. Who else is here in the chat? Everybody who came along on the raid, I thank you so much. I appreciate you coming along on the raid. I am Piano Julia. On Fridays, I do No Music Fridays, so I chat or read or do something. Tonight we were chatting about true crime stuff. Hey, Jenny Ann, good to see you too. Thanks for coming along. And so main Bread and Butter Stream is playing piano and singing covers and originals. On Fridays, I do New Music Fridays and No Music Fridays, and we do something different. Sometimes it's just chatting like tonight, but like last week, I went for a walk. Sometimes I do stuff around the house. Sometimes, because I stream every day, I have the opportunity and sometimes necessity to stream other content. So, and right now, some of my gear is not here. It's at the grand piano. I either stream here or, which I call Studio 9, or when I can, I stream at my grand piano, which is at another house. And I can do that when I get some help here. So I've had a few streams there, and so my gear is over there. So I'm on mobile here. And then I stream on my piano. That's my piano. And yeah, you can see on a couple of the clips or VODs that are on Twitch the piano room. So, but thank you so much for thinking of me. I had you up because I was just saying how much I enjoy um, Jane Gel and the whole community there because you guys are so sweet and supportive. So, and the music's always so good. I was streaming and I missed Jane Gel singing. I know she probably had to go, but when she was doing Evergreen, I always like it when she does that. So I'm coming in as a raider. See, I'm showing up as a raider because I had your screen up. I had your stream up the whole time that I've been here. But yeah, so sometimes we do chatting. Sometimes I do chat noodle. Chat noodle is when I chat, but I noodle on the piano. That's what I did last night. But on Fridays, I try not to play any instruments at all and just do something else. But I hope you can come back when I'm doing something else or chatting or doing some music. So I play covers and originals. And covers, I do a lot of the same covers that, I mean, Jane Gel's list is a lot more extensive than mine, but I do a lot of the same songs she does. I do Evergreen, but not like her. I do a lot of the Carpenters and um, who else do I do that she does? Tony Braxton. Um, can't think of other names right here, but we know a lot of the same songs. So, but thanks again. I really appreciate it. We were talking true crime, but it's a very disturbing case, so I think I'm done talking about that now. I just can't get it out of my head, but I if you like that kind of thing, now you already know the story, so it might not be as shocking. I did not know the story, so it it was shocking to me to see what happened at the end. Um, but I would recommend watching it because it's crazy. But anyway, it's on Netflix. So thanks again for the raid, and I'll be back if anybody's still here. Again, anybody who came on the raid, appreciate you coming over. Um, know that we are lurk friendly. I never have the list up, so I never know who's here or even how many unless you're in chat. And you can always come and go here. No one's going to call you out. If you come in, no one's going to just ask you questions just to keep you here. We're very laid back. We're friendly, but not pushy. So we tend to be very chill here. So yeah, tomorrow will likely be a music stream. I hope it will likely be the last music stream from the grand piano, though, for a while, sadly. So, but I do very much appreciate the raid, especially when I'm not really doing music. I appreciate it. Um, yeah, and if anybody here is, I don't know if it, Jane Gel, I raid often because she's so good and it's so comforting there. So it's just like a nice place to go chill. And it's one of those streams where the the community is so good and supportive and fun and nice and all that stuff. Everybody gets greeted and all that. Um, So it's nice to banter with the community there. So that's fun if you're in chat. But it's also the kind of stream that, because the music is so good and kind of flows, that you can also be completely lurky and just use it like radio and listen in the background while you're doing something else. It is like either or. So I highly recommend. That's why I raid there often. I probably would have raided there tonight if our times were different. So if anyone here is not already following Jane Gell, please just go ahead and drop that follow. And she herself is such a sweetheart. So, and then you got to hear her voice. Amazing. Yeah, let me get caught up on my chat. Let me put back over here. I was talking about that I missed while I was running my mouth. Yeah, so I would recommend watching that. And the other one that has my head in a headlock is another one called Crash, which is about a car accident, which may or may not be an accident. Oh, another one. Live. Always skedaddle. I'm a bit of a struggle. That's why I usually feel better after being here with you guys, which is good and bad because it keeps me from resting. Now I'll have on Windows to Sky. I don't know what she's doing tonight. She has quite a variety of things that she does. Good musician, plays and singer-songwriter, plays and sings guitar. I think she does keyboards too. But she also is sometimes a ghost. You got to be there to see it. She also does DJing on old oldies, like real oldies. Like she plays 78 records. Looks like she might be doing some of that now. So it's a whole setup there. Puts a lot into her stream. Be good to be able to share books and movies and games and stuff. Well, people do a lot of that on Discord, right? Oh, EO, you got to, it's EOR Explorers. Got to visit Philadelphia to debate nationals in my third year of high school. Oh, really? Oh, that's cool. Yeah, people can watch movies together on Discord. I haven't done that on my Discord, or I haven't been on anybody else's Discord when they've done that, but that seems fun. So I have a Discord, which I'm not currently very active on, but you can, but I hope to be. So go ahead and join if you're interested. You can talk to each other or post things or whatever. And then I have a YouTube, and I have a TikTok. How do I do that? I don't know because I haven't done it, but apparently you can share the screen and play a movie, and then everybody's there with you. You can talk and comment and stuff. Hey, Jiggly Dad. Uh, yeah, I'm the Discord queen. So much of a Discord queen, I'm never there. Over my tower. Well, do you have a Discord, Tronics? No? Okay. I need to go in on somebody else's when they're doing that so I can see how it goes. Now, some people do that here. I don't know how they get through the copyright thing. It just depends on what you're watching. I have no idea what I'm doing. Hey, right back at you. I had a lot of help from my good friend and mod here, War Dancer. Actually built it for me. Shout out to War Dancer, who is often modding in the shadows. Um, and as a streamer himself, he's on hiatus right now, but go ahead and drop a follow so when he comes back, you will get the notification. Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing either. I have to spend time in Discord so I know what I'm doing because I don't even like even to navigate through it. I'm always like leaving messages in the wrong thread. I mean, just because I'm not there enough to do stuff. Occasionally, I'll I'll put a pictures of something up there. The baby birds I had last week. Um, remember Mr. Magoo? That Mr. Magoo, was he the one that couldn't see? Or am I thinking of Elmer Fudd or somebody? You can't see or can't figure it out? Or he couldn't see. Okay. You can't see? Can't figure that you can't see enough to figure that stuff out? I mean I will say I didn't figure it out myself. I have to, like I said, I have to kind of play around with it so I know what I'm doing and actually more importantly why I'm doing it. You can see but you're lost. I feel you. Feel you on that. Discord Queen. Do, 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 do. How you doing, Jiggly Dad? Yeah, there can be a lot going on Discord. So I think that's part of my problem. I don't hang out enough in mine or anyone else's to be comfortable navigating around it or, you know what I need it. I mean, what I want to use it for the most. I mean, it would be fun to watch a movie or something. But there's places you can post pictures. There's places you can post your own, like if you have an event coming or song release or something, you can post that. I think it gives a notification of when I go live. It gives a notification of when I post anything to YouTube, not TikTok though. On the road, where are you going? On the road again. Or is it, oh, tired. The family trip or is it, wait, is there a TwitchCon or something coming up? I don't even know. Because I know I can't go. So You're a programmer, but not in this realm. Right. So you know how to do actual programming and coding and stuff like that, but navigating on a certain platform is a whole different thing. Galena. Never heard of it. That's like a little vacation then. Sounds nice. You program synth chips. Wow. So you got some skills. Cool. So to spot in Western Illinois. Is it does it like in the woods, like a cabin situation? Or is it a resort? The whole family going? I'm asking you a lot of questions you don't have to answer. It's nice to get away. So you're on the what is today? Today's Friday. So you won't stream. Everybody make sure you're following Jiggly Dad. Um, he plays and sings. Plays piano and sings. Um, and he streams Thursdays and Saturdays, but has pop-ups sometimes. So that means you're taking tomorrow off though if you're traveling, right? So if anybody's not already following, just go ahead and drop that follow, and you'll know when he's live next. Oh, well, I'm yawning. I guess that's a sign. Um, oh, Gary's here. Hey, Gary, how are you doing? Good to see you. So everybody make sure you're following Gary. He also plays and sings and does a lot of instrumental as well on the keyboard. He likes his jazz and chill music and a whole variety. But he'll fall down a rabbit hole sometimes and do all Frank Sinatra or all Stevie Wonder or all kinds of stuff. So, and he's got a very chill setup. You'll see. Just drop that follow. We're going to hang out with goats, which we've done a few times before. Well, there you go. Back to nature. Goats are cool. I used to have a calendar with a bunch of goats. Are they the ones that they find in trees? Like they just stand there, right? I think I had a calendar with a bunch of goats once. Oh, hey, LaRousse. Who's supposed to be in bed? Gary's piano? I know I'm supposed to be in bed. Still having issues with sleep. Oh, thanks, Tronics. Always good to hang out with you. So tomorrow, I don't know. I took so long getting the setup at the Grand, but I had to. This is the first time setting up at the new location with the Grand, with the new mic, the whole thing, with the new mixer. There was a lot of new stuff, so I knew it was going to take a bit to figure things out. But um, it's my sister's leaving Sunday. I thought she was leaving tomorrow, so I have an extra day. So I may try to get a little stream in there tomorrow, or not. I may go over there and just play my piano because I don't get to do that very often. Um, and then I'm gonna have to bring all my gear back here, so I could do a regular Studio 9 stream when thank you, Tronics. Um, when I get back here. So I don't know. Like I say, that's how I roll. It's not the best way. How not to be a successful streamer. They say the first thing you do is have a regular schedule. I don't do that. So, but we're getting there. I have an anniversary coming up, which I don't think I'm going to celebrate then. I have to celebrate another time. I've been so under the weather, and then my sister here, I'm like, I don't know. Oh, I didn't update. Today is 669. Your regular schedule's out the window, Gary. It's hard to do the right. I really admire the people who do it. But sometimes real life or just how you feel messes with it. But streaming every day at least keeps me streaming, so I'm not, disappearing for a while. But the struggle is real on the streaming every day, so we don't know how long it's going to last. It'll last until it stops, but I don't see it going on for a while, forever. Yeah. Well, Jiggly Dad does it right. He has a regular schedule plus pop-ups. So those are the ones that might be at a different day or different time. So yeah, I've learned a lot from streaming and from streaming every day. I'll take part of a stream sometime and just talk about that, but that whole schedule thing is one thing. And what Twitch rewards you for how long you stream, how often, but more how long. It will last until it lasts. It doesn't last. Oh, you have such a way with words, Jiggly Dad. Jiggly Dad is also starting to write songs as well. So tune in for that. Galena Territory. Kind of rental price. Sounds relaxing. Nice. Yeah, we do have nice people here. I'm very lucky with that. Starting is a good word. That implies I have momentum, but yes, I must regather it. Well, I know what you do, which I admire, is when you start it, you complete it. You have it done. I struggle with, well, a lot of it's the streaming every day, and then having access um, to playing when I want to play. because I often can't. Oh, in order to finish some songs or write some new ones, but we'll get there. Yeah, momentum. Little little lacking these days. Dark story time was just too juicy. It was. It's just that one just really got to me because it was just so brutal. Before you guys got here, we did a true crime thing talking about a documentary on Netflix. It's just so I can't get it out of my mind. It's so disturbing. So I talked about it, but I'm done talking about it for now. So, but if anybody watches it, let me know. You had to step out because it was too gruesome to hear. Right, right. Now I will say that the documentary is not. I mean, it's gruesome because of what happened, but they don't dwell on that. They don't show um, lots of things. It's not graphic, put it that way. But the other one that has a chokehold on me is not. I mean, they're still deaths, but they're not. That's um, it's not gruesome in the same way. And that one's called Crash. You know, somebody in coming into town tomorrow because she's here for some opera audition or show or something. Wants to stop by. I don't know if I feel like see my mom, which is nice. You know, for me, all I can think is this is my last day. I don't want to. It's my last day. That's how I have to think these days. It's always um, there's always a expiration to whatever I'm doing. So, yeah, we'll have to find. I'll have to find a juicy story to tell that's not gruesome. I don't have that's more juicy, gossipy or whatever. Not so gruesome. Spill the tea, not the blood. Yeah. Well, the one I just told you, up until the end, it feels more like the spilling the tea, like, what? Somebody's lying about something. It was more that. The very end is the jarring part that I did not know about. I mean, sometimes when you watch those things and you already know what the actual crime is, you're just kind of gathering information on it. But when you don't know the crime, it's, especially for this one, it's quite jarring. But I have to find a good gossipy one. I don't have any. Well, I might have some real life stories. The current one I can't say because um, legal, financial stuff. I can't talk about it yet, but when I can, I will. Um, but you know, we all have some stories, even if they're somebody else's. Those are the best kind, really, when it's not your own and you're like just on the peripheral. But you're close enough to get the details. But anyway, it was Maternal Instincts on Netflix. Like I'm saying, I don't really have the bandwidth to watch um, like TV series that I don't know anything about. I mean, we were talking about that before, Tronic. So because sometimes I don't want to listen to music. Um, because I'm all musiced out, you know what I mean? So I'll have something on in the background, but I'll put on something just so I don't have to hear the voices in my head, right? So, but I'll put on something that I've seen a million times before that I don't have to pay attention to. But I watch something new that I have to pay attention to. I don't do that much unless it's a documentary. Those I can handle. But although this one was a little tough to handle. But yeah, but I don't watch series, especially hour-long series. So, but me and Tronics will put Frasier on in the background. Frasier's good for that. Oh, or my latest. It's my mom likes game shows, and and I understand. I mean, she just likes them, but I also understand if you have any memory issues, game shows are just a lot more accessible, right? Because you don't have to follow a plot. So I find my mother has some memory issues. So when I watch something that's not, when I kind of make her watch something that's not a game show, um, I have to explain everything to her, and which is fine because that actually makes it more interactive for her and me. So I have to explain to her what's going on so she can understand it. And so that's the only way she likes to watch things like that. Is when someone can help her, um, remember and understand what's going on. Um, but if somebody's not going to do that, she'll just watch a game show because you can follow game shows, right? Um, I think that's why a lot of people with memory issues watch those things. I get it. I understand now. I didn't quite get it before. I thought it was um, like maybe a older person thing for no other reason, but the reason is the memory issues. So, and she'll watch sports and stuff because again, you don't really have to follow that in the same way. And news, which I don't watch. So, yes, my one sister's leaving. The other sister's supposed to be coming, but we have no confirmation, and that's not a good sign. So we'll see. And I'll be back to um, back to here, which is fine. Streaming over there, I'm still limited in the time, and I'm still limited in the space because I share that space. I don't live there. I live here. When I go there, I'm getting on somebody's nerves, so it's the mojo is not good, you know. Um, Stream gets no respect. So, but I'm so happy when I can get to my piano. I really miss it. So yeah, probably. I don't know if I'll stream it. I just might go over there and play it and stream here later. I'll have to re. I'll have to break down over there and bring everything back here. So, and we all know what usually goes along with that. Usually that means it's some sort of a tech issue will rear its ugly head. No. So this is Windows to Sky. Ella the Bunny Mom is also live now. A good friend of the stream. So it's just chatting, but I see her piano there and it looks like she's singing. So, and the song list seems to be open. But what is my favorite music? I don't, it depends on the mood. It depends on the daily mood, and it also depends on what's going on in my life. I go through these things where I only listen to certain things for a while, and then that switches. So lately, I've been listening to a little bit of old Sade. I was listening to a lot of Maroon 5 when I was learning those songs. And then just kind of random stuff because I was, learning some songs. But yeah, old school Sade. But her career has lasted so long. I mean, I like her newer stuff too. But that Promise album I really like as well. And that's like her second album way back in the 80s. Sade is always a good answer. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I go by moods. I've been watching, and I think it's old stuff. I think it's stuff from like COVID, but Nora Jones's YouTube channel, when she's playing live, like in her house, just sitting at the piano, I really enjoy those. Any new stuff? Um, I just added an Olivia Dean song to my list that I'm working on. I really like that. And what's his face? Teddy Swims. I don't hear the new stuff by accident. I actually sometimes I do, but sometimes it sounds repetitive to me, and so it doesn't stick. Something might have a good beat and all, but then it goes away. Doesn't stick with me. Why what? New stuff is not so good. It's just different. There's plenty of new stuff that's good that's not mainstream. See, that's the thing. Um, like new stuff. I could say the stuff that I hear here on Twitch with like people's original songs and stuff are amazing. That's really new when you think about it. Stuff that's just been released. Um, what's her name? Uh, I don't know. I can't remember her last name. I haven't seen her in a while. Sally, help me out. Julie, Dad probably knows her. Sally starts with the last name with a W. She just released something on vinyl. Texan Spaniard got some really good songs as well. Wallach, Sally Wallach. Yes, I really like her stuff. Um, Texan Spaniard. Um, Poppy music, not so good. Unpop music is good. Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna do the broad brush and say popular music is not good. A lot of it is not doesn't have a lot of depth because it's some of it the stuff that gets pushed is formulaic because I think that the powers that be realize what sells and they just go for that. So and what sells is some good beat that you can hook somebody in with quickly and you know but see in my ears it hooks me in quickly and then goes right away. It's gone. Like it doesn't. And I don't tend to want to hit repeat. And it's not necessarily I dislike it. It's just so the newer artists that I do like have more of an old school feeling. Right. So it takes so there's so it gets fixed so much that it's too perfect, which probably adds to the making it feel like more like a snack than a meal. You know what I mean? The snack can be really good, but it's not enough. So and then the melody and the rhythm or the cadence of the melody because they're all the it's like all kind of like same. What makes them different are the lyrics and the instrumentation of the beat. But then the lyrics are well, sometimes they have something to say, less so, and sometimes they're so graphic that they lack what's the word I want poetry. Because if you have to say if you because I think back in the day you weren't allowed to say certain words, so you had to think of another way to say it, which actually um, there's some songs that are really kind of you know dirty, risque, but they don't say the words. Old blues are like that, or really love your peaches, want to shake your tree. That's dirty as hell. Um, yeah, sugar in my bowl. He was a deep sea diver. Stays down the bottom. He holds his breath for so long. Pretty dirty, but you know. But now it's more of a it's it's almost clinical. I want to put my this and this and put that and that and do that and that and do that from the side or that. Like it's just like a checklist of things that you do. It's like okay. Um, Hi, Vividi, welcome in, first time chatter. Um, I did study music in college. You now explore improv. Yeah, you do a lot. And you do a lot electronically as well, right? Yeah, and then like pop music can be like old school pop music, even though there was autotune and that stuff, and even though there is like a drum beat that's programmed, why is that different than like Janet Jackson versus Sabrina Carpenter? Neither one of them singing like Whitney Houston, but and it's a lot of repetition. But I don't know if the Sabrina Carpenter songs are going to stand the test of time the way Janet's have, and Janet's straight up pop, R&B pop. I saw her in concert once. My niece saw her just last year. And I haven't been to very many concerts. I did see Janet Jackson. Yeah, Janet. Janet was cool. Is cool. But it's also the exposure, I think, because there's too many places to hear music now, and it's too. I mean, back in the day, it was everything was divided like rock, R&B, you know, white music, black music, country music. Like that was divided. However, you still would hear the music accidentally or on purpose, and it wasn't fed to you. Now things are fed to you, and so you don't get to hear something that the algorithm has decided that you're not going to like. So you don't hear it. And you don't hear it. You know, people don't watch regular TV anymore. Regular TV is where you might hear, um, like on a talk show, they'll have a band come on, or Saturday Night Live will have a band come on. The late night talk shows, but even the afternoon talk shows would have artists come on, and you would discover somebody that way. But you know, people don't watch that so much anymore. So you don't get accidentally introduced to things like before. So, and if you're not listening to radio will repeat things and play it and play something that you didn't pick, and so you get introduced to things that way. But now we all pick it ourselves, or the algorithm picks it. So you don't. It's just different. So it's harder for I think for songs to have staying power now, even the good ones, because they're not they're everywhere, but they're not everywhere. You know what I mean? Venues don't have live bands anymore, right? So you're not going to discover them there, um, except for like you know real small places or certain types of places. Um, they have the DJs, But the DJs, I guess it depends on what kind of bar you're at or club. But they're just going to play dance music or dance mixes. Yeah, it's not. It's not. It's not part of the culture as a whole. It's a part of everybody's individual culture, powered by algorithm and your previous choices, which always gets to me because if I choose an old song to listen to, it doesn't mean that that's all I want to listen to, but that's what the algorithm thinks, or a certain artist. On the other hand, sometimes they're really good. I went on Spotify and put in, when it picks, I put in Waterfalls by TLC, and then the algorithm picked all the other songs. That was a really nice mix in like 90s R&B pop stuff. They did a nice mix. I do object to living in a box. And Jiggly Dads know I feel very strongly about that. I don't like to be put in a box. So I object strongly. I know, and Jiggly Dad's not a fan of Spotify. Yeah, but Spotify will recommend. Spotify will sometimes recommend songs like um, songs, older songs I think that I forgot about. That I might want to learn. But I also get that from Twitch. I get a lot of that from Twitch. I get more of that from Twitch. Is like the radio in some way, because I'm on somebody else's stream and they're doing it's like, oh, I forgot about that song, or they do something new. They do their own stuff, but they'll play it again, like radio used to. Oh, I guess radio still does, but you might not listen to it, you know? So somebody will play their song and then they'll play it again. That's how you get the exposure. Our ears need a certain amount of repetition. Our brains need a certain amount of repetition. So, but not only repetition. See, that's the difference. It's more long form repetition, like play the whole song a number of times, not the same 4 measures 56 times. You know what I mean? It's different. But that's what the powers that be think. And which has changed, don't get me started, it's changed songwriting because, songs don't have bridges anymore. A lot of songs don't have bridges. The songs on the radio that make the radio don't have bridges anymore. But other songs do. You don't have to have a bridge. Nobody can remember them. But if it's a good one, it's a good one. And then how you have to, that you can't build it. They even have an intros. Intros are cut off. But that's the same way in literature. Well, not high literature, like regular books, novels. You have to have something happen immediately. They think you have to have something immediately to hook somebody in. But I don't know if that's necessarily the case. Well, Jiggly Dad, yeah. I don't know how much you hang out at Jiggly Dad streams. A Jiggly Dad, unlike me, like I stick to my list. Jiggly Dad plays anything and everything. Well, not everything. You draw the line at what? EDM or something? But yeah, they'll just offer songs to Jiggly Dad and he will live learn them. Even songs you don't know at all or songs you don't know well, but give it a shot. Ain't gonna do metal screamo trap. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. You gotta do something that you can actually play and sing on a keyboard. Just the keyboard. I mean, I know you have You have your synth now, you can do more things, but still, you're not going to be doing trap music. But yeah, Twitch is a great place to be introduced to music and to hear songs again. So I think it's great that way. But I don't like to be put in the box. I also feel very strongly about that you don't have to have been alive at the time a song comes out to enjoy it. That all it was before my time. That's it's recorded. It can be played at any time. It can be discovered at any time. And it can be discovered at any time, and you don't have to have an emotional memory. You don't have to have a memory connection to it to find that it's a gem, like Julie said. You don't have to have that. So somebody might say, "Oh, I remember that song because high school something blah 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 blah." Somebody else can say, "Oh my, that's just a cool song," having no connection to it, no historical, emotional connection to it, except for the song itself, and then you build it from there. Also, I also feel like when you first hear a song, whether it's a long time ago or now, okay, that's fine. But then if you keep playing that song, it's not always related to the first time you saw it or heard it. So I have not been playing bass lately, but I had it out the other day. Well, 2 days in the last week. So I think I'm gonna get it going again. Yeah, it's available for everyone. I feel that way about it's because it's recorded music, just like movies and visual art. These things are recorded. They can be enjoyed at discovered at any time. You don't have to have this story to go along with it in order to like it. And that's one thing I also like about Twitch because there's people from all over the world that are playing songs from now and decades before, and they might not they're not going to say that they remember that from high school, but they just like the song, and they'll do it. So I think that's cool. Yeah, you can always rediscover it. That's like even when I talk about like old movies, I still don't do spoiler alerts on old movies, or I give a warning because somebody might not have seen it, even though it's been out for 20 years. If you haven't seen it, it's your first time. So, I mean, that whole it's before my time or it was after my time or whatever. But yeah, that's just me not wanting to put anybody in a box. Walden Pond. See, I don't know that. Yeah, what are you into? You asked me. I didn't ask you back. I'm sorry. You just got me thinking. By Thoreau? I don't know that. You don't remember? Sure. Emerson? Wait, is it a book? I always get them confused. A book, okay. Walden Pond. Yeah, now people, you know too much about the artist, so then people, you know, it's like I'm pretty good at separating the art from the artist, but I remember my dad saying years ago, some scandal came out about somebody. My dad, who always listened to all different types of music, um, he's he was like, yeah, well, that's why I like Mozart. I don't have to worry about that stuff. It's like, okay. And I guess that's too, if you because I think about that too, like because I'm classically trained. So when people say stuff like, "Oh, that was before my time," say, so what? So was Beethoven. Doesn't mean you can't enjoy it. You know? Anyway, y'all got me. See, Jiggly Dad gets me talking, but it's really on me. But it's after 4 a.m. again. I think my body's on a 4 a.m. clock that I have to work on. And I'm so super tired anymore. I gave up coffee. So I really don't have a reason to live. That's a little dramatic, but this is one reason I don't talk as much because we'll start talking. I know. I'm the same way because you know sometimes when I raid you or when I go into your stream I gotta go because if I stay for a little while, I mean I have you tabbed up, but if I stay for a little while and start chatting, I'll be there for too long. I gotta get some rest. I have been seriously on the struggle bus. Oh, I don't know. Like I never have the list up. I don't know who is still here, but let's go to. What was I gonna go? Oh, I was gonna go to Windows to Sky. El the Bunny Mom is up too. Windows to Sky has been up almost 3 hours. Charlie Infinite, oh, good to see you. Graceland by Paul Simon. I don't hear it anywhere, but I just love the idea of that. Oh yeah, see what I mean. You can be inspired by all kinds of stuff, you know. Oh, what was I doing a song fact for something? It was like the same kind of thing, and it was inspirations were like a whole kind of varied list of people, which I thought was cool. Oh, thanks for the hug. All right. Eclectic taste in music. Yeah, that means they're listeners, you know, that they enjoy the music. And they're not in a box. See, they're not in a box. A box will kill you. That's what the industry does to people, put them in boxes. But you know, it's always been that to a certain extent. And since, you know, video killed the radio star situation, there's that thing going on as well. because it was always helpful if the artist was attractive and very young. That's always been a thing. However, that sometimes a cart can come before the horse there. Like you could, especially for the men, like um, a plain man can be incredibly sexy if he's carrying a guitar. You know what I mean? Like but so if you fall in love with the song and then you see the person, that'll give the same effect as having this really hot person who's singing a song. It can go the other way around sometimes, but not these days, because these days you always see the person first. So yeah, you got to put the holes in the box. What's automod? What are you saying that that automod's getting you? I guess you can't say what you're saying if automod's getting you. Yeah, I think we just know too much about stuff before we get a chance to accidentally. I know I have that, but I didn't know that it was going to hold. And doesn't it give? It usually gives me a chance to allow or deny it, and I'm not getting that. I'm not getting that message. I have like some of the words on there and anything. Oh, okay. Walter White. Oh, hello from India. Oh, okay. How you doing? Hello from the U.S. Swear in chat and you'll fire it up. In my semi-clean stream. I'm not always a clean stream, but most of the time it is. Pennsylvania. I'm in Pennsylvania. It's on the east coast of the U.S. So it's 4:14 a.m. here. So I was getting ready to skedaddle. Nice at the blue state. We don't do politics here. What's our red piece called? Like Mrs. Yeah, but that doesn't matter because he's dead. He's been dead a long time. The point was that there's not a current scandal about those people. I think whatever and most of the stuff that we might know about them, we don't know and we don't need to know. You know what I mean? Do not guess, and I won't tell you. That's one thing I don't talk about here. Anybody's age. I don't ask anybody. I don't tell anything. Someone who lived in Western Pennsylvania for a year. Yeah, that's the same state. Well, Western Pennsylvania, yeah, it's different. Yeah, like it's a different country between like Philadelphia and Pittsburgh. Yeah, Mozart might have been a freak, and Beethoven was apparently an asshole. But who cares? Nobody cares. They're long gone. They can't hurt anybody, and their music will survive until the end of time. And there's no like you know. But people now they just like to find stuff out about people and then try to retroactively cancel them. It's like, please. Well, that's what I mean. Like, so it's just so unnecessary. Some of this stuff, it's like too much information. There's too much information out and not enough appreciation like to allow yourself to appreciate something. There might be, most people have some sort of dark side or some sort of personality trait that someone else is not going to like. So a bug in here. And Jess, oh, you can't cancel no charge anyway. That was my point. I haven't seen Amadeus in a while. I love that movie. Wolfie. Ella, the bunny mom, is showing her setup. Interesting. You bought the extended director's cut recently of Amadeus? It's like 4 hours long. Oh, really? I have the DVD, and I'm starting to think, was it a 2 DVD set? It might have been. I don't think I have a 4 hour director's cut, but I think I have something. Maybe just the director's thoughts. I don't know. Um, yeah, I haven't seen that in a minute. Offspring just watched it recently, and I was like, why didn't you watch it with me? I love that. Randomly. The VHS were 2 tapes. Oh, okay. But I have the DVDs, and I think there might have been two. Anybody hasn't seen Amadeus, highly recommend it. It's about Mozart. And it's obviously a period piece. So it doesn't matter that it's an old movie because it's set in the 1700s anyway. But so good. I still have this book. It's a book about various composers for children, and it would just tell the like little stories about the composers that were kind of funny, or to humanize them a little bit. But like Beethoven would get so immersed in his work that he would, not bathe or empty his chamber pot. And his friends would have to come and like clean up after him, empty his chamber pots for him. It's pretty gross. And he would be all grumpy about it. And Chopin, who was always sick, his nickname was the Little Corpse or something like that. Oh, anyway. I went to Paris once. I went to Chopin's grave. I wanted to leave flowers, but my former partner in marital disaster said that was stupid. Take flowers to Chopin, been dead for so long. So I didn't get any flowers. We went to the grave, and there were flowers. Everybody else was bringing flowers. I was like, oh. So next time I'm in Paris, I'm going to take Chopin some flowers. Damn it. Anyway, let's go to Windows to Sky. Make sure she is still. She goes a while. She's only been on 2 hours. So. She's doing some sort of DJ thing, it looks like. Live from the Great Clown Banks Show. All righty. It's always a good time there. So we're going to do shout out to Windows to Sky. Oops. Premature. Enter. You've not actually experienced, but now it looks like they're doing, might be back to DJing. What's good there is they also have a lot of, the film clips from those movies way back in like the 40s and stuff. Anyway, so that's where we're going to go. Here's the raid call. Anyone who's here, if you could go on the raid, it would be lovely. Take some folks. So even if you have no intention of staying, or even if you would lurk, if the lurker's out there, if you would continue to lurk, if you go on the raid anyway, that's a good thing. Copy the raid call. However, if you're lurking and you want to continue a deep lurk and you don't want your name to be in the chat at all, feel free to still go along on the raid, just don't use the raid call. You can be completely incognito. That's okay too. It's still bringing people over. Yeah, I just remembered that. They thing, I just remembered. But anyway, so thank you to everybody. Cheers, everybody. No. Oh, I thought they were on a break for a minute, but no. Okay. So I hope everybody got the raid call. Thanks for being here. Have a great day and a better tomorrow. I'm going to start the raid sequence. I'm going to skedaddle. I am probably going to raid and run because 4:30 in the morning almost. Ugh. I gotta get myself together, truly. Well, thank you, Charlie, and thank you for being here. Everybody, thank you for being here and indulging me in my random chats and my gruesome true crime. But happy you all are here. And that concludes our No Music Fridays. Back to music tomorrow. Hopefully. Sometimes it just depends on what's going on. Okay, so yeah, if you can go on the raid, please do. Show some support. The Windows to Sky, who I got to know through the Cultural Exchange Raid Train, which this month is the weekend of the 24th to the 26th. I don't know if they're doing it. I'm doing it. Well, I think. I don't know if I got a spot. I have to check. Um, so, and if you haven't been to Windows to Sky before, right now they're doing some gramophone stuff. But they also do straight music themes, streams, singing, and playing guitar. So sometimes it's collabs with the Wicked Violin. Anyway, check them out. All right, starting raid sequence. I didn't update my bag thing, so I'm not going to do it. But today, 669 is in the bag. Oh, subscriber or follower only chat. I try not to do that for a raid. Wicked Violin. Yeah, they're great. So let's do this. Go ahead and drop a follow to Windows to Sky for later, I guess. And because I know some people don't like to, if you want to, like kind of be forced to drop a follow even to do the raid call. So, but definitely check them out. And let's instead go see Ella the Bunny Mom. And for mature audiences, there's nothing crazy there. It's just, I think, just swearing. There's nothing. You don't have to worry about any, small animals being sacrificed or anything like that. But Ella the Bunny Mom, there is a bunny who will get a treat when we raid. So let's do that. Ella's chat gets wild. Let's see if we can make her swear. Then she puts $5 in a swear jar. See, I accidentally swore the other day. She told me now I got to put five. I said $5. I can't afford that. I can put $5 in the swear jar, maybe 5 cents. Then she's like, but it's your money anyway. So it's like a savings. It's like it's a retirement fund or a savings plan. Her chat gets wild. Her chat goes sideways sometimes. But yeah, if you don't know Ella, just come along on the raid. I met Ella through, I think it was AJ recommended her as a raid, and we went, and it was so fun. But it was one of those times. And sometimes she's not on screen, and she has her. Is it an avatar? She's a penguin or something. And it was one of those days, and I'm like, what am I looking at? But then I realized. So, and been following in a loyal viewer ever since. So let's get Pippin a snack. And I know she doesn't have follower only things. So wait, did we already go? I'm confused. Why are we already over at Windows to Sky? I didn't know I did the raid. Wait. Okay, actually now we have to go there because Chickly Dad already went. Okay, so now we're back to going, but it's subscriber and follower only. So I apologize for that, but then we were going to go to Ella because of that, but now Jiggly Dad's already there. So, and I've already been welcomed over there. So we got to go there. I mean, I love it over there, but I didn't want to do a raid there if it was limited. So, but we're going to go ahead and do it now anyway. So, but it's worth a follow. It really is. But I don't want people to feel pressured to follow. Oh, here we go. Now I'll start the raid. Back the windows to sky. But go follow Ella if you're not already following. Okay, everybody have a great day and a better tomorrow. Peace. We out. It's in the bag. That's a wrap. All right.